Good day to you. We welcome you to the realms of light, where the vast majority of who you are also exists. We welcome you to these realms of light from where your physical lives, your physical personalities, and your entire physical worlds also spring. We are most exceedingly grateful and ecstatic that you are continuing and greatly expanding this, as has been said, Toastmasters of channeling. For many beings are tuning in at many different levels, many of which are aspects pertaining to many of you that are physically and digitally present. But beyond that, many beings, there are many circles of beings expanding from there. And these gatherings, while they might seem very humble, very tiny, very small, actually send ripples. Indeed, because you know that everything is one, these ripples do move through the entire universe and multiverse. For you are all parts of the great existence. You are only playing this game of forgetting that you are the whole so that you can experience yourselves as a portion of the whole. And specifically within time-space, so you can have the appreciation of a process of change, of growth, of maturation. Likewise, do you forget much of who you are, so that you can remember who you are from this very, very unique physical vantage point? And it is indeed very, very precious. Many in your world, and specifically in this age of awakening, are longing for expanded states of consciousness, for more connection to more of your aspects, and for more knowledge and more wisdom. And paradoxically, on the other side of the veil, as you might colloquially say, many beings are lining up to have the experience of focusing to such a specific degree as is your time-space reality, to experience the realm from your unique vantage point, which is precious, which is unique, which is highly, highly unique in the entire universe and multiverse. Therefore, we kindly suggest that you appreciate the beings that you are now and let go of so much striving and trying to be more and trying to connect. Let go of all that longing to be somewhere other than where you are. Because consider many beings who would want nothing more than to experience a sliver of the exhilaration of being so finely tuned and physically focused and experiencing this miraculous transformation, moving from limitation to freedom, from darkness to light. As many beings have said, your planet Earth, this is where it's at. This is where it's all happening. Now, of course, everything is here and now, and everything is eternally present. But this is, as you might say colloquially, a hot spot in the universe, a very exciting place. And many beings have front row seats and are, as you might say colloquially, on the edge of their seats, witnessing this amazing transformation of consciousness that you are experiencing firsthand. So do not be in a hurry to get to any particular finish line, to have any particular kind of experience, but rather consider to invest in ordinariness, in physicality, invest in taking a walk in nature and simply appreciating the feel of the springtime breeze upon your cheeks and the wind blowing through your hair, and appreciating even a blade of grass. When is the last time you picked up a blade of grass and stared upon it in awe and wonder as you might have done as a child? When is the last time you picked up one of your dandelions and blew it into the wind and rejoiced in your physicality? When is the last time you as you say in your world, smelled the flowers, took the time to notice what is right in front of you. Thusly do we kindly suggest that you appreciate these moments, these precious, precious physical moments of physical time-space, acute focus. And in so doing, paradoxically, do you open then to the multidimensional nature of who you are. For you are nature, you already contain all of it. There is nowhere to get to. There is nothing to accomplish. There is a saying in your Taoist circles that nature does not hurry, yet nothing is left undone. Embrace that paradox of loving yourself as you are right now, for that is the gateway to your infinite nature. For love itself is the frequency that connects you to all that is. Then, when you run after this experience and long for that experience, do you create an artificial separation between you and that which you wish that you had. You create a belief that you do not have something that you want to have. You create these divisions. And then you run after that thing or run after that experience, missing the very thing, the very existence that supports you, that guides you, that flows through you, that flows through your energy systems and flows through your veins, that animates your very life right now. So do appreciate the physical structure, the physical beingness. Appreciate your cellular reality. Appreciate the billions and billions of cells that do work in cooperation with your unique consciousness to have this unique experience. For each one of your cells is indeed conscious and forms organizations of consciousness with other cells, creating organic structures that they too have their own unique consciousness. As your physical body in and of itself as a whole has its own physical consciousness. And when you gather in groups such as this, do you form from the many physical organisms present yet another level of organization, where you, as a group, have a unique state of consciousness. And on it goes to infinity, into the macro, into the micro. You're riding atop waves and currents of consciousness, of which you are scarcely aware, but this is precisely the nature of your physical reality, to focus your consciousness so exquisitely into one band, into one frequency, as it were, as a metaphor, very much to the exclusion of all the other bands or frequencies of consciousness. This in and of itself is an exquisite act of balanced focus. So appreciate yourselves for having accomplished such a unique experience within such a unique world, with its trees and its grasses and plants and flowers and cells and organic structures. Appreciate all of it. Appreciate your physical form and your physical focus. That is the gateway and the key to these higher states of consciousness from which you spring and which are not separate. They are indeed with you right now. For in this moment, this now, this is the only place that you can meet more of yourself. It is not over there. It is not in some experience you wish you could have. Nor is it sometime in the future. It is only possible through the gateway of the now. And so we speak to each and every one of you with great appreciation, with great reverence for the journey that you have chosen to experience and that you choose to experience in each and every moment. We appreciate your physical existence. We appreciate your time-space focus, one moment at a time, one life at a time. Even as we perceive many lives and many moments simultaneously, for it is all part of the great and grand experiment and experience of consciousness. And we sense that we can continue to expand upon these themes through the interaction of questions. Thusly, please ask any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Illi. So my first question has to do with energy and timeframes. We were initially in the timeframes for 2026, 2027 for a major open contact event. And then there was some goings on our planet that shifted it back. But a lot of us have been putting energy back towards the earlier timeframes of 2026 and 2027. So as you read the energy in the eternally changing now, where are we in terms of that contact event? Thank you.
It is somewhat humorous to us that after everything we have spoken of, we are still looking to future events and wanting something that is seemingly not here. Thusly, we will approach it in this way. The most important moment to focus on is 2025, is this unique day of your physical life. It is through the appreciation of your physical current time frame that many of these preferred timelines do open up. And you will notice a kind of acceleration when you can appreciate those simple things of which we spoke, the natural, simple things of your world, of your planet. Now we will frame it in a way that you might hear it in a new way. Many beings truly have an immense love for your planet. Thusly, when you spend some time appreciating the natural world, you become a gateway through which many of these beings can appreciate your world as well. Thusly, contact in a way happens very indirectly, rather than reaching for the stars and longing for those connections to those star beings. Paradoxically, when you focus on your natural, beautiful, natural world, you attract those beings to peek into this reality through you. Thusly, you develop a harmonic relationship with your star families, with your star beings. It is no accident that many of your, as you say, native tribes were in contact and are in contact because of their precise connection to your planet, which is highly multi-dimensional. And your culture understands but one frequency or one layer of your planetary consciousness within which your culture operates. But there are many layers. Your planet is folded within your planet, let us put it this way, are many dimensions, many gateways. Thusly, when you paradoxically focus on your planet, which feels to some degree dense because of your consciousness, you open up those portals within the planet and within you, which accelerate open contact. Now, we are not in how to put this in your language. Give us some moment. Let's approach it like this. There are many possibilities that are in flux. We have answered this question in a previous transmission, that 5 years is a rough estimate, which means it could happen tomorrow, within the time of the 5-year period. But there are many fluctuations. There are beings in your world that are already having contact. There are subcultures that have been having contact for some time. So, assuming you refer to open contact in your unique Western civilization, then we will give that 5-year approximation. Things will happen before then. Certain subgroups, even within your Western culture, will experience profound shifts and awakenings and experiences, and many of you indeed have, in slightly altered states of consciousness, been aboard craft and have had these interactions already. So the other semantics here is, at what point do you deem it to be open contact? For in some sense, you could say it is happening already. It is simply happening at a slightly altered vibrational frequency. But it is still contact, because you are a whole being. You are not physical only. So we know we've given this answer from a variety of angles. Is there something within this that you wish to explore further?
Not at this time, because you have answered it. And I think what I'm really getting is that enjoy this quote unquote non-contact time while we can, because contact is coming one way or the other.
Indeed, it is imminent. You are on a train and it is rolling at full speed. Thusly, when you are riding in the train, you do not have to get out there and push it any faster. It is already moving. So, yes, you can simply go about your day and do those things that you enjoy. For when you do what you enjoy, that's what accelerates the train even faster and further. Thusly, it is not something you can individually do other than propelling that train and the momentum of it by acting on your joy, grounding that, and of course, as we have spoken, the appreciation of the planet. Become the antenna through which contact can occur. It is no surprise that many of your contact experiences happen in the wild, in your wild places, in your natural places. The planet is much more involved in this than you suppose. For contact is not merely with humanity. Contact is an event that is taking place with your entire planet and all the beings within it. Thusly, when you resonate with that holistic frequency of planetary awareness, consciousness, appreciation, then do you open those gateways. Does that help?
Very much so, my lovely. Thank you.
Hello, Master.
Hello, good friend.
My question is, when I talk to Tom many times, it's all about a jellyfish come between me and him. I want to know if you can talk a little bit more about that jellyfish and if you have any connection with the crystal skull. Thank you.
The connection you speak of is very relevant. For the channel himself was out at night, just last night, looking up upon the sky, and the star of Sirius caught his eye. And he stood there mesmerized for a long time, staring upon this beautiful jewel in the sky. And indeed, these Sirian connections are coming online and are reactivating, for things are very cyclical in your world. And now the cycle is returning to a little bit more water, a little bit more connection to Sirius. So it is relevant in that way. It helps to facilitate these multidimensional consciousness links. It is almost as if the strands of the jellyfish represent the strands of consciousness into which the channel and many of you are reaching and extending, creating links and bridges between your world and many other worlds. So any of you may use this metaphor if you wish, if it speaks to you, if it resonates with you, extending those feelers. And this connection can greatly help the human nervous system to vibrate at a higher, more holistic and integrated frequency, with the energy of the water element very much soothing and cooling the balancing the so-called fire element, which is part of the contact experience. So this can be used to help the human nervous system acclimate to transdimensional informational gateways that are opening, so that these energy frequencies can be translated through the physical frame, so that the physical body can too experience many of these contact experiences, so that it can be brought down to earth, as you say, into physical structured reality. For many of your contact experiences are just outside the frame of your so-called physical consciousness, and you are building a bridge between that particular frequency band and your physical, quote-unquote, normal reality. Does that help?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Illi. We appreciate your energy and your presence tonight. I have a question just to see if you can provide me any information about any Earth counterparts which may have existed in our past, in our timeline. I know that it's all time is simultaneous, but I'm just curious about that, so I figured I would bring it up.
You're curious about currently alive, parallel, or shall we say, counterparts that are alive right now on the planet.
Or at any timeline in what we consider to be our past in a linear portion of how we calculate time as humanity.
Have you explored Sedona recently?
Not recently, no.
Have you been called to explore Sedona?
Yes, I will definitely get back there.
You may find that there is a counterpart connection there that may or may not be physically realized, but more information might become available if you are in physical proximity to this particular being. Now, of course, many of you have many counterparts. That is the one that pinged in our consciousness, shall we say, as the most relevant as you asked the question.
That's very helpful. I'll look forward to exploring that in the now moment.
You can also ask for contact with this individual in your dream states if you wish.
Very nice. Thank you.
Hi, it's my first time interacting with you in this way. I really appreciate it. And I'm wondering if there's any question that we haven't asked that you think we should be asking.
The number one question would be, how can I live more in resonance with my joy, passion, creativity? That is a question to ask each and every day. What can I do today to translate more of my multidimensional self through this exquisitely beautiful physical frame? What can I do today to channel the unique frequency of myself? This is the one question that can help each and every one of you move through your days with more grace, more joy, more bliss, more ecstasy, more profound knowing, understanding, and what will unlock synchronous, harmonious timing and effortless flow. So that would be the question. What can I do in this moment, in this day, to channel more of my unique frequency through this beautiful physical frame? What can I do today?
Thank you so much.
Hi, Illi.
Good day.
Good day. I lived in the Southwest for a good chunk of my life, and the presence at a number of different sites, some well-known and some not so well-known, of etheric cities and prior ET activity at the physical level exist in a number of sites. My question has to do with what could I find in the now if I were to visit some of these areas? Famous ones, maybe like Chaco Canyon. Not so famous ones, like the lands that surround Las Lunas, New Mexico, where the haters actually have an etheric city. Can you assist with that?
Give us a moment. We are not entirely sure we understand your question. Perhaps phrase it in a different way.
If I were to travel physically to these locations at this point, what kind of encounters could I have with the energies, not just of what we consider linearly as the past, but the energies of extraterrestrial activities now?
Very good. Well, your experiences can be many. It depends which version of you steps into those realities. For there are many intersections of consciousness in those places. It is almost as if your rock formations with those caverns and arches are almost like physical representations of the many gateways and archways and doorways of consciousness that exist therein. And you may choose to walk around in your physical self and explore these different areas. And while you might not necessarily in that moment have an experience, you will yourself be walking through many of these portals and gateways and discover that you come back into your normal physical environment as a completely different version of you. So do not always look for some big grand experience to hit you over the head, as it were. But consider that when you act on your joy or desire to explore these places, You may have experiences that you don't even recognize in the moment you are having them. But from that point forward, your life is on a completely new timeline. Now, that being said, and this is something you can play with, by all means, you can also avail yourself to the gift of nighttime and do a little, perhaps, outdoor camping, and use the night, which represents a kind of disassociation, for lack of better words, or tuning down of your physical senses and the opening of your psychic senses, which are more finely attuned to these gateways, and thusly you may have more contact type experiences. As many of you know, your contact experiences often begin with contacting other beings from other civilizations that are aspects of you, of your oversoul. However, whether you have these experiences or not almost doesn't matter. What matters is the journey that you take, the willingness to step through these portals as if you're stepping through yourself to other versions of yourself. And should you avail yourself of this journey, we suggest that you will not come back as the same you that you know yourself to be now. Does that help?
It helps. And thank you for the suggestion of camping at night. I once had a friend that did that and have since had a desire to do it. And that crystallized, your statement crystallized in me that I should pursue that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Hello, a pleasure to interact with you again.
Good day.
The channel refers to you as the reflective mirror, and I would love if you could provide your perspective on how we might use reflection in a creative way that we don't have in conscious awareness right now.
Very good. We will approach it like this. For those of you that are aware of the toroidal energetic pattern, and those of you that are not aware, you can simply Google torus field. It is a known electrical, and we will say electromagnetic field, which does surround your physical and energetic self. So consider that you are this being, this physical and energetic being within this toroidal pattern, which runs through your center core, your vertical power current. It goes by many names. As you say, your crown chakra, which expands like a cone upward, and your root chakra, which expands like a cone downward, which creates this field which concentrates through your center core and then expands out and flows all around you. So thusly you are surrounded by this field of energy, this 360-degree field all around you. Now, as you explore your physical life, you can consider that everything you experience is being projected from other levels of consciousness into this field, which you then experience as a physical creature. Now, every being, every cell, every molecule, you can consider as having this kind of field. Thusly, there is individual experience and there is collective experience. When you run into somebody else, another being, you have an interaction, you are thusly experiencing your version of them as they overlap with your field, as their field overlaps with your field. You from your own energy, imprinted into your own field. You experience them, but it's your version of them. Thusly, do you have the paradox in your world where one of you might find someone to be incredibly loving and kind, and yet you talk to somebody else and their opinion of that individual is, well, they're quite a jerk. They're kind of rude. And you wonder, are we talking about the same person? And the answer to that would be yes and no. Because while each being is their own unique self, you each experience versions of one another within your own 360 field of consciousness, which is interrelated with many of your past experiences, your filters, your beliefs, your ideas. Thusly, having an awareness of that, you can look at your physical life as information that helps you to discern what kind of energy are you projecting out into this 360 field. Because the reflection does not lie. So if you find yourself surrounded by certain kinds of people or experiences, you keep getting certain kinds of events in your life, you can consider to use that as a reflective mirror to help you to see precisely what energy you are putting out into the matrix of consciousness. So you can use the reflective mirror that way, as a kind of reflection of what you yourself are putting out. Now, this is not an alien concept now in your age of awakening, but many of you are yet to take full responsibility for the energy that you are putting out, and many of you attribute your challenges and angers and frustrations at an outside world, as if that outside world impinges upon you somehow. Yet it is you who chooses to feel, think, act in certain ways based upon your belief structures, your unique vantage point that you believe yourself to be. So, thusly, use each experience, each feeling, each thought, each emotion, each event as a reflective mirror, and, to use the pun, do reflect on what the reflection is reflecting back to you, and consider, what energy am I putting out to be getting this kind of reflection coming back? Again, many of you have heard this many times. However, it is one thing to get something with the mind, as you say, and to truly behave as if you own all that you are experiencing, and you take ownership and responsibility for all the energy that you're putting out. Many of you still love to comfortably blame the outside for a certain experience. And as you continue to do so, you will continue to perceive the power to be somewhere out there outside of you. However, the reflection is your own power reflected back onto yourself. And you can use that to tremendous effect, using that reflection almost as if you could interpret your physical life as a dream, and each event within that being symbolically representative of different layers of consciousness, not the least of which is the energy that you are putting out. Does that help?
I appreciate the answer and the perspective. Thank you.
I have a question about the life of Yeshua. I know Abraham said Yeshua was crucified because he was out of alignment. He fell out of alignment at the end of his life. And I know Bashar said he was because he knew it was necessary. And I'm curious where your personal standpoint aligns on this topic. Thank you.
we are, as you might say, shifting gears. Now, the being would have understood at many levels, even the physically conscious one, that a great drama was playing out on your world. Thusly, those experiences, while as you live your life, might be chosen at some levels of consciousness, and yet at the physical one you might feel as if life is quote-unquote happening to you. For this individual, there was much more integration between the different levels of mind, feeling, and higher levels of consciousness. Thusly, it was understood that a drama was indeed playing out. That would be a profound drama for your entire world and your civilization. So you could say from a certain point of view that this individual, as it were, walked into this with a kind of free will so that the drama could play itself out. Now, many of you experience dramas in your own lives, and many of you continue to choose to believe that you have sometimes no hand in it. But there's something similar that is happening in terms of your awakening, is that you are gaining ever more conscious awareness that you are playing indeed a role within this physical life. And when you recognize yourself that you are the actor on the stage, paradoxically you can play your role even more acutely, and at the same time have a little bit of a distance from that role. This is why some of you can become aware of other roles that you're playing in other frames in other lifetimes, where you can step away a little bit out of the role and be a little bit more neutral so that you can see and remember that, oh, I played this character and that character and oh, this character over here, oh, well, that's all well and good, and now I'm playing this unique character. So we always encourage you to bring things into your physical experience. However, is there something specific you wish to explore here?
I think I was having difficulty reconciling the concept that someone at the ascended master level could fall outside of alignment within their life path. Because it seems like both perspectives that were given by Bashar and Abraham on this were very kind of concrete in a sense. And I think that's why I wanted to ask, but I'm really loving your wisdom on this. Thank you.
You can look at it this way. While you might be of a very high frequency, you may also experience on the surface of your physical being some trepidation as to something that you signed up for. We'll use somewhat of an unusual analogy here, but let us say you are skilled at diving, and yet in a moment when you are about to make a great dive with all kinds of fanfare, you might feel some butterflies in your stomach. Even though you are a master of your craft, you might have the entire world looking at you. Perhaps you are at the Olympics, and there is much in that particular moment, and you might also feel a sense of tension arise within yourself. Even though you are indeed a master of the craft, you have been doing it for your entire life. You could even say your entire life has prepared you for this glorious moment So you see the paradox that while you might be a master and you might have everything within you to explore a unique physical moment exquisitely, that does not mean that you cannot experience butterflies or a little trepidation leading up to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Illi, I know that various star systems are attracted by other people to them, and I was curious to see if that is not only true for the animal kingdom, which I know is representative of many different extraterrestrial species from an earthly perspective. But can you elaborate on any particular species which might have their own star connections?
There are great connections between what you call your Sasquatch and the hybrid civilizations of which and to which you are becoming acquainted. So there is that link, which many of you, when you hear it, it of course might seem quite obvious. But that is a link that is yet to be explored in any great depth. So consider the hybrids and the Sasquatch and consider what a relationship they might have. And in the simple curiosity of such an act, and those of you who are connected to such beings can go even beyond curiosity in your explorations, you might stumble onto a frame of reference or an angle of perception into both those beings, the Sasquatch and the hybrids, that you might not have considered before. Now we will give you one thread of consciousness that you can follow. It is known in your world that your Sasquatch are actually quite adept at stepping through portals and quote-unquote disappearing, and they can be seen and unseen as they so desire because they have this ability to, as you say, slipwalk from one dimensional reality to the next. And they have an acute awareness of the physical planet's multidimensional nature. They are highly, highly attuned to the planet in a way that is most challenging or foreign or even alien to your current physical minds. They have this understanding of how to weave in and out of time-space in a fluid way. Now, many of your encounter experiences also happen at slightly altered vibrational planes, of which your physical mind has not quite yet learned to handle. Thusly, can you, through interactions with your Sasquatch brothers and sisters, avail yourself to an ability that is latent within your genetic structure, rendering you more physically capable of interacting with extraterrestrial beings. And you will bridge the gap between your physically focused mind and those portions of you just slightly outside of the physical band of consciousness that are already having contact experiences. So this is one of many gifts, many facets that can be explored in your relationship to the Sasquatch. And once again, this harkens back to what we spoke of earlier, that understanding your multidimensional planet will greatly accelerate your ability to integrate into your physical frame experiences that you're already having at other layers of consciousness. Does that help?
That helps a lot, and I was not really consciously thinking about the hybrid and Sasquatch connections, but I appreciate you bringing that up. So obviously, all of this information is meant for us because we're hearing it.
Indeed.
So I appreciate that.
As we do appreciate each and every one of you.
And we have one more question and maybe more. Do you still have time in our time, Illi, for additional ones after that?
Let us take this question and then we shall decide.
Thank you.
Thanks, Illi. So I had, relatively recently, I've been having an interaction with one of my Sassani counterparts who has chosen the name of Esme. So I find it very fascinating about how your culture relates to each other. Can you please share your relationship of this being or how you know and understand this being? Thanks.
We are of a non-physical nature mostly, though we do tap in to the other aspects of the other soul and other civilizations. And that is all that is coming through the channel at this time. Perhaps this is something for you to explore, rather than to have it be, quote unquote, given to you.
Yes. Go ahead.
You understand, yes?
I do understand. I was just being a bit of a chancer because that has already been kind of communicated to me. But I just was curious because I genuinely am curious about your connections and your wibbly wobbly time experiential civilization.
So in that case, we will say, nice try.
Totally busted. First move out. Okay, well, thanks for playing anyway. I will. Yeah, she's been very, for whatever reason, this connection seems to be one we have to discover ourselves. So, yes, I am willing to do that, but I am still curious. Maybe another time in the quote unquote future, I'll ask you again. But thank you, Illi.
Indeed.
I have a question about Christ and about Yeshua, and it goes something like this. My understanding from Edgar Casey and from Seth, and even from Bashar, is that the person that was crucified was not the Christ. The person that was crucified was somebody that stepped into that role in order to fulfill a part of their heritage, the Jewish heritage, or their destiny. And of course, I'm wondering about that with respect to myself, because obviously this is a reflection of me somehow.
And this is your question or comment?
Yes, I'm wondering if you could comment on that, because like Anthony said, I'm kind of shocked by somebody, the Christ consciousness falling out of alignment.
We will say it in this way. By all means, do explore the possibility that the Christ consciousness was not contained within one physically focused individual. You might consider exploring the idea that there might have been more than one individual playing that role. As some of you know, we do like the number 3. So we invite you to explore the number 3 as it relates to the Christ consciousness, and lean into that with your curiosity and see what you get. There is much mystery and much that is unknown even while many in your world claim to have the story or the correct interpretation. There is as yet much mystery in the unfolding of these events that includes not only what happened physically, but also what happened in these other layers of consciousness of which we have been speaking all night. For many events transpired that were also of a non-physical nature, in dimensions just adjacent to your physical one. Thusly, there are many intersections of events, physical and non-physical. And this is a great, great mystery, which we will not be expanding on a whole lot in this evening of your time. But we are planting those seeds of curiosity, even as your contact experiences and your experiences with Sasquatch do happen at slightly altered physical, vibrational levels. So too many events in those time periods occurred at different frequency bands. And this can sometimes lead to a bit of contradiction. But there are indeed no contradictions ultimately. But there are many layers to events as they unfold. Does that help?
Yes, very, very much. And I really appreciate your perspective. And just like Zilli, the ball is back in my court, and I gladly take up the opportunity to explore it further inside myself. Thank you.
Indeed.
So, maybe the last question. I wanted to find out about the cetacean beings on your planet and their relationship to our cetacean, or rather, the cetaceans found on our planet, and how often they would visit our planet and interact. How similar are they, and how often would they visit our planets to interact with our cetacean counterparts? Thanks.
Which planet are you referring?
So the Sassani cetaceans and the Earth cetaceans.
Ah, okay. There are links not only between Sassani cetaceans and Earth cetaceans, but also cousins, as you might say, in the Sirian star system and other systems as well. However, as we said, we do like the number 3. Now, there are many psychic interactions going on constantly in a triad. Now, you could say there has been a little bit of a foreign exchange happening between some of these worlds. But for the most part, these links are quite psychic in nature. And some of these consciousnesses of these beings are much more aware of these layered events that happen at physical levels and non-physical levels. And so can those beings, as it were, project their consciousness from one to the next, even as you are learning to perceive through the eyes of your other lives that your oversoul is having, and many times as other aspects of your oversoul do look through your eyes and experience your life. So too is consciousness often and very fluidly flowing between these beings in these 3 worlds. And even you as humans might at times find yourselves looking through the eyes of cetaceans, for you do share that consciousness link with them as well. And this is a curiosity you can also explore. However, it will also simply show up as a matter of course. The more you tune yourself to the natural frequency of the planet, the more these latent abilities will open, and you will find yourself looking through the eyes of other beings of your world and through the eyes of beings in other worlds. This is part of your DNA structure, part of the latent abilities of your consciousness that come part and parcel when you choose to focus yourself into this time-space reality matrix. It is, in other words, your birthright to experience these fluidities of consciousness between you and other aspects, between you and other creatures of your world, and even creatures of other worlds. It is your birthright. Does that help?
Yes, yes. It does help, but to confirm, so it hasn't been physical in a while. It's more psychic connections between your cetaceans, between the Sassani cetaceans and Earth cetaceans and possibly Syrian cetaceans or Syrian amphibians.
Some exchanges of a physical nature have been made. But like we said, most of these connections are psychic in nature.
Alrighty. Thanks, lovely.
And thank you. And with that, then, we will wish each and every one of you a beautifully glorious co-creation. For you create a beautiful portal, each and every one of you. Each and every one of you is like a petal of a beautiful flower that is unfolding as your group unfolds and physically crystallizes. Are each and every one of you like a beautiful petal opening, and as each one of you opens, so does the entire flower open and manifest more of its radiance that can be appreciated from your dimension and many other dimensions. As each and every one of you share your unique gift, you are but one petal opening, and you are inspired by the other petals and the other individuals. So do not hold back. This is the time of awakening and the time of great sharing. Do come out and play. Be yet one more petal that chooses to open. And do then you accelerate not only your own opening, but the opening of the entire group consciousness. And it releases a beautiful fragrance into your world and many other worlds. Thusly, we wish each and every one of you happy opening and unfolding, and relishing in the unfolding of your fellow beings who are sitting next to you. We appreciate this group very, very much, and each and every one of you individuals within it. And with that, then, we will wish each and every one of you a beautifully glorious and a fond good day.
Thank you, Illi. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
blessings to both.
Many, many blessings.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
That was
Another
fun.
delightful evening.
Good job.
Fantastic, Tom.
I loved your information on the Sasquatch. And of course, they're close to they are my heart and have been this whole lifetime and many others, but I loved hearing Illi talk about them.
Awesome. That's probably you being in the group that pulled that energy through, you know what I mean?
Makes sense.
They are something else.
I got a
I
sense of
absolutely loved it too.
I'm sorry?
I said I absolutely loved it too. It was great to hear that it's going on now and it's in our reality, and well, just so much. You covered a lot of territory, and I had the same feeling. Arliss energy brought that in, and it was spectacular.
I got a sense of a white one. Like, I know people usually think of them as brown, but I got like a, you know, I honestly, I know very little about them. I guess there's like a Yeti version and a you know, North American version. I don't know, but I got the sense of the white-haired one more than anything.
Cool.
Yeah. There are many white-haired ones. Some are not older as far as time's concerned, how we see time, but there one was here. I understand he is coming back. I didn't know where he and his mate had gone, but I called him the old white one. And he has a lot of wisdom. In the beginning of my journey of speaking about them in public, I was allowed to take a photo. I take photos, everything in the woods, but he was there that morning, and I was taking pictures of around the circle, and I always say I'm taking pictures, and they know what I'm doing. I don't have to say that, but it's just my form of respect for them. And the photo I got was him transitioning from the physical to not being seen. And the picture was somewhere in the middle of that, not totally unseen, but not totally in the physical either. And
So they were
it
opaque.
was, yeah, it's kind of, I guess
I've seen them that way in an opaque form at
yes,
some distance.
yes,
And we actually, in our group, we actually took a picture, and you can see it in the picture.
yes, yeah.
So you were there too, Lewis? Like you saw this?
Yeah.
Wow.
And this is like a year and a half in a relatively close forest area to the Tampa metropolitan area. And so we felt the presence at some distance. The two fellows that I was with, both of them are very sensitive. And then as we were almost walking out of the area, we took another back look, and at some distance, okay, I would say at least half a mile or more, you could see this kind of movement of the air that just looked a little mysterious. You felt the presence of something, and then for a second we said, there it is. One of the fellows had his phone already trying to point in that direction, and he took a number of fast shots, and he captured that transition. But it was certainly opaque, what we saw.
Yeah, that's in.
And I certainly felt personally, they knew exactly what they were doing. And it was not just one, it was actually a family. Okay, there were three of them, including one that was definitely, a child or a offspring, basically, because it was smaller, not as tall.
Did you actually see them with your physical eyes, or was it more like you felt them?
physical eyes at this stage,
Wow.
but very, it was a, very quick. They're in the photo, okay? And we were able to capture in the photo the opaqueness of it. Now it's far distance, and you may actually look at the photo and I have to tell you this is the area, maybe, okay? But once I tell you that, you will see it.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's a gift, man, to have that kind of contact.
Yeah, they're doing this more and more and more. They are first contact star people as well. And so they are helping in that way, the same way that many of the star people are. They're our first contact, like Illi and so many of the others who are, speaking. They're making contact with individuals, and then those individuals bring what's brought to them and share it. And that's one of the things that I've done. Kashima, who is an ancient and is my teacher, has taken me many places. He took me underground to an area where I don't want to get into it right now. But anyway, I don't want to take up the time. But they are coming more and more in physical form,
Mm-hmm.
not just in that spiritual form. They are flesh and blood. I mean, I have flesh and blood relationship with them since I was little bitty. So, but they are magnificent, I have to say.
I did get the feeling from the session that contact is going to be more contact with these beings that we share our planet with, that's the gateway, is recognizing that we share this world with all these other sentient creatures, and that is like a precursor to the star contact.
That
Oh,
and the
yes.
fact that the fact that there are civilizations that live here that you can call Earth civilizations that are very more advanced than we are, and that we would consider them to be aliens. That's part of the contact.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they along with some of the star people, as the Earth was being birthed, they knew that they would be coming to Earth, and that at some point they would be interacting with humans. There are some that are mated with what we consider humans as well. But yeah, they knew, as well as some of the star people knew, that this is what they were going to do.
In New Mexico, there's a Native American very ancient city, Acoma Pueblo, which is built on a mesa, high on a mesa. They call themselves the Star People, okay? And they have probably the most private set of ceremonies and living of all the pueblos. They protect very intimately the things that tie them to the stars and the kind of rituals that they do to connect to the star beings. It is said among them, okay, that their ancestors walked hand to hand with star beings.
Yes.
Now, that's not the only place in New Mexico. I mentioned today Chaco Canyon. Chaco Canyon for sure had them. Illi was talking about the rocks, and the rocks being essentially, carriers of all this energy. Well, I can tell you that some of the rocks actually have the attributes of what we could consider a space traveler being, not of a Native American or pre-Native American. No, 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 no. They actually have the attributes of aliens being there. And the whole site of Saco Canyon is built upon alignment to the sun, the moon, location of the stars, the equinoxes. They even have things that follow cycles of the moon that most of us are not familiar with. You know, like there's a natural progression of the moon with regards to the equator that takes 29 years, I believe it is, to go up and then come down. Okay, you know, in other words, you know, we think the moon is rotating the same way every year. No, it is shifting, and then it comes back. And they were tracking, you know, they actually built things to track that would follow, and certain holes in structure would align with where the moon be on the next year, on this year, and then the next year, and the next year. You know, so different little holes. You know, so amazing things that they did there, which I say they could not have done by themselves because they're very accurate.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot
And
of these ancient peoples, they were connected in so many of these ways that we're just barely getting into this understanding that we can have these portal connections too.
So
That's-
just to jump in
that's-
here, not that the conversation has to stop, but I am going to put a stop to the Illi channeling video.
Thank you.